So I did some math, and in order for me to finish my rewrite before I go away at the end of January, I would have to write over 4,000 words a day. Which is hilarious because last week, if you saw my previous vlog, I was like so pleased with my pace. I was like, oh yeah, I got this productive writing vlog. And now I'm like, oh. So I've been thinking a little bit about what I want to achieve with this vlog because I am going to try. I'm going to try to get it done before I go away. But I think it's really easy, one, when we have this external pressure of like creating content, but also just when we know that other people are like expecting something of us, we have this tendency to like do one of two things. We either check out immediately and we don't even try because we're anticipating the failure, or we overexert ourselves in an unhealthy way to try to make it happen. And I don't want to do either of those things. I do want to try because I know that it is technically possible. If I'm really focused, I can get that done in maybe just a little bit more than the time I've already allocated to it. But I also don't want to let my commitment to other people, whether that's an editor or a beta reader or a YouTube channel, ever overshadow the expectations that I have for myself. And my primary expectation for myself when it comes to my writing is to preserve my relationship with my writing and to make sure that I'm continuing to enjoy it. And the thing is, if I push myself so hard that by the time I go away, I'm feeling really burnt out, I'm not going to want to write again when I get back. So it's really important to me that I avoid doing that. There's a quote from Glennon Doyle where she says, every time you're given a choice between disappointing someone else and disappointing yourself, your duty is to disappoint that someone else. Your job throughout your entire life is to disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. And yes, I have an editor who's expecting things from me. And yes, I have a beta reader who's expecting chapters from me. And yes, I'm putting all this content out on the internet, but at the end of the day, it's my life, it's my creative practice. And if I burn myself out for one goal, imagine all of the things that that's going to stop me from creating and the joy that that's going to prevent me from experiencing as a result. So all that to say, I want to try to get this done, and I am going to activate deadline mode to try to do it.
It sounds dangerous. Someone could get killed.
But I'm going to be gentle with myself. And if I'm having a day where I spend 45 minutes writing and I can't give any more without burning myself out that day or without neglecting my other needs or responsibilities, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to choose to prioritize myself as a holistic person rather than isolating my identity as a writer as the most important thing come hell or high water, because it's not. And preserving my mental and physical and emotional and creative well-being is important. But like I said, I am gonna try, so I suppose it's time to activate deadline mode. Boop. ADHD brain hack for you. If you've got 2 tasks to do, or obviously multiple ones, but we're going with 2 for now, one of which is urgent and one of which is important, do the important one first. So for example, right now I am on my lunch break. I have 2 things that I need to do today. One is obviously writing. The other one is I need to move a bunch of stuff upstairs because we've got some builders coming tomorrow morning and I need to make sure that they have access. And I've got the time now, and I've got the time that I would usually spend writing later. Now, if I were to go move the stuff for the builders now, there is always a risk that I just will not be able to make myself write later. But if I write now, there's no risk that I won't move that stuff for the builders later because it's essential. It has to happen. It's not an option for it not to happen because otherwise I'm going to be hundreds of pounds out for a call out for a job that they can't complete. So I'm going to do my writing now, and I'm going to procrastinate the more urgent thing because I know the way my brain works and there's no way that thing's not getting done, even if it's an hour before they arrive tomorrow morning. Whereas the writing, there is always a risk that I convince myself later that it's not quite so urgent. So yeah, little hack for you. So I've been thinking about the concept of deadline mode. And just to expand on this a little bit. So deadlines can be really, really important because they're a source of extrinsic motivation that helps us really overcome executive dysfunction around certain tasks. The problem is that when there's a deadline, we procrastinate. And this is more than just like normal procrastination. This is like, I physically cannot make myself do this even though I want to, and even though it's giving me anxiety that I haven't started this yet. Now, when it comes to my writing, I've noticed such a big difference in my life when I have a daily writing practice. And so I've been able to create that habit. But even I am clearly not able to escape the pull of deadline mode. Now, this is technically a self-imposed deadline, so I'm kind of using deadline mode against myself, which is like interesting, and I'm not sure how I feel about that decision. Because deadline mode can be really, really detrimental. I cannot remember the last time I finished something that I accomplished in deadline mode and went, I'm proud of that as soon as I finished it. Things that I have finished over a solid amount of time through consistent effort, those things I tend to be proud of. But every time you finish something under deadline mode, there's a part of your brain that says to you, imagine how much better it could have been if you'd been doing this all along, if you hadn't waited until the last possible moment to start. And that's really frustrating. Now, I don't necessarily think that I've done that to myself here because I have been working on this for a long time. I started this draft all the way back in July, and because it is self-imposed, I don't feel like I'm being forced to do anything. Like, if I chose to, I could just stop working on this right now, pick it up after I get back from my holiday, and it would be fine. No one would be mad at me. I don't think I would even be mad at me. But I want to finish it before then, and so I'm trying to use the way that my brain naturally works to my advantage, because I know that this is a time where it would be really easy to just check out, and so if I give myself the extra motivation of deadline mode, maybe it will help me not check out. But what I don't want to do is let the dopamine hit of meeting this deadline make me feel like deadline mode is a good strategy all the time. Because setting deadlines too far in advance, again, makes me procrastinate. So if I finished this and then I said, okay, my deadline is that I want to have book 2 done by October. Well, I know that I finished the first draft of this one in 2 months, and I didn't necessarily feel like I was going all out. I think I probably could have finished the draft in 6 weeks. So what my brain will do is it will make that calculation and it will say, okay, great, well, we don't really have to try to hit that deadline until like 2 months to 6 weeks out. And then I just won't do anything until August. And that's so problematic. I don't like being like that, but I know myself and I know that that's how my brain will work. So I'm employing deadline mode very strategically, doing it very last minute to help me overcome the last bit of something that I've been working consistently on. And maybe I'm just telling myself that. Maybe actually what I'm doing is quite unhealthy, but I'm gonna choose not to believe that. I'm gonna choose to believe that I'm doing something helpful to myself. But as I sit here and I stare at these 5,162 words, plus another 401 from the next chapter that I need to do, I feel like I don't want to do them. And I feel myself saying, oh yeah, that one tomorrow is only 401 words. So actually, if I stop doing this now, I can just do both chapters tomorrow. Despite the fact that I have loads of other things to do tomorrow, despite the fact that I know I wouldn't do any of those things tonight, I would just sit and read, which is not a waste of time. I mean, I'm very tired, it's been a long week, and reading is restful to me, but it's not a good use of my time. And that's what deadline mode is doing, because the pace that I've been maintaining over the last few days, knowing the deadline that I'm working to, I know that I could skip tonight and probably still hit the deadline. God, and that probably is so sexy to me. Like, I just cannot resist that probably. It's like, well, maybe I should fuck around and find out. Why am I like this? Genuinely, someone tell me the chemistry in my brain that's making this happen. Okay, so sprint done. Sorry I didn't film an update yesterday. I was very in the zone. I did quite a bit. I was tackling a really big chapter that was like nearly 6,000 words when I started it, and by the time I finished it last night, it's down to 5,344 words. So I trimmed about 700, which I'm pleased with. I'd like to be trimming more as I go, but it is what it is. And then tonight I've tackled another long chapter, which has pretty much stayed the same length, and that's about 4,800 words. So we're doing really well. I had a little bit of a scare today because I thought that I was going to be called away on a work trip for a couple of days next week, which obviously would have put a wrench in things, but I don't have to go on that trip, so we are good to go, and I'm getting through the chapters in a reasonable amount of time, so I'm feeling really good about the progress. But honestly, right now my fingers are just so cold that I need to go like lie in bed and warm them up. That sounded dirty. It didn't, it wasn't supposed to. But either way, I cannot possibly be holding a camera or typing right now anymore because they're like starting to cramp up. Anyway, I'll see you then. I'm supposed to be hosting a sprint, and I need to go host a sprint, but also... Isn't there a rule about not moving when your dog is using you as a pillow? Like, I'm pretty sure that's a rule, like a law. Sorry, buddy. Do you think they gave me enough? I think they might have. So I'm not actually sure how this has happened, but I think I'm ahead. I think I'm ahead of schedule right now, which is like kind of blowing my mind because this has been such a rush. But the last 2 days, I have just found myself gravitating to the manuscript. I don't know if it's because I can just taste that I'm like almost done with it, but I've done some edits on my lunch break. I've done some edits in the morning. I've gone past my sprints, and yeah, doing really well. I've got like 7,000 words left to do, and I've got tomorrow and the next day. I think what I'm going to do is try to finish it tomorrow. I'm done for today. I've done like 8,000 words today, but I'm going to try to finish it all tomorrow. Hopefully can keep this momentum going. No, like feeling down on myself if I can't. If I need a lighter day tomorrow, then fine. But if I am able to finish it tomorrow, then that leaves me Thursday to just focus on getting ready for my holiday and to like actually send it to my editor and make sure it's all loaded in for my beta reader. So I think I'm going to do that. Actually, maybe I will keep going right now. I've kind of got the energy. I'm going to keep going right now. Okay, now I'm definitely really done for the night. It's like an hour and a half later, and I've just done another 2,500 words. So I have got less than 5,000 words to go. I will definitely be able to finish this tomorrow. So yeah, we're looking good. Stay tuned. Forcing myself out onto a dog walk, despite the fact that I am so tired this morning, but I have great news. I finished my rewrite of Project Gilbert, book 1. And I don't leave on holiday until tomorrow. So technically I finished a day early. I emailed my editor to ask her what format she wanted to receive it in, all of that. And she's asked me to send through a synopsis. So I need to write that today, but that should take me half an hour. So I'll catch you at home because I'm going to write that synopsis and then I'll hit send and we'll do that together. Sent. I have now sent the manuscript and the synopsis to my editor. All of the chapters have been uploaded for my beta reader and I am ready to go on holiday tomorrow. I'm so excited. I know I said at the beginning of this vlog that I was willing to activate deadline mode, but I was not willing to put my own well-being on the back burner, and I really don't think that I have. I've gotten so much more done than I thought I would, but I don't feel burnt out. In fact, I feel excited to start on something new when I get back from holiday. And I don't think I've ever written at this volume and felt that way. And I've talked a lot in my vlogs before about how it's really easy to experience shame as a writer when you are tying yourself to these really high word counts and feeling disappointed in yourself when you don't hit them. And that's why I'm always really careful with that precedent. That said, because I gave myself permission to take things as slowly as I needed to and to not hit this deadline if I didn't feel like it was going to be good for me, because it was at the end of the day a self-imposed deadline. I think that sense of freedom and that lack of obligation made it a lot easier for me to follow my passions this week, and my passions were drawing me to my writing. And definitely the way my brain works, it makes sense that I was excited to keep dipping into it because I do tend to hyperfixate on things. So I guess the moral of the story here is like, don't be afraid to use deadline mode and use the way your brain works to get things done. But the priority should always be your mental and emotional and physical and creative well-being. Because if you burn yourself out now, you're going to miss out on so many things that consistency and that gentleness with yourself could allow in the future. But we're not going to end the vlog just yet because I am not going to be posting this until after I get back from holiday. So I'm going to share a little snippet from my holiday with you, which this Sam doesn't know what that's going to look like yet, but you will see it coming here. Don't forget to hit subscribe so that you can see me jump into a new project when I get back. My writing group's got a writing challenge for the month of February starting, and I am going to be working on something that is not Project Gilbert while I wait on feedback from my editor and my beta reader. So follow along if you don't want to miss that. And without further ado, here are some clips from my holiday.